Thursday starts a new beginning at TU.
Former OU offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson starts his run as head coach of the Golden Hurricane against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Jonathan Husky has more on what to expect at Chapman Stadium.
Change is hard. It can be scary, but sometimes change is what's needed. Kevin Wilson was hired on December 6, 2022, charged with reinvigorating a team and a fan base that had grown somewhat stale.
I thought I had a chance to lead a program and to build a foundational program that can stand and one good shot to swing as hard as you can.
Immediately he got to work, winning a recruiting battle to keep highly touted quarterback Braylon Braxton on the roster and convincing Oklahoma State transfer and former Bixby superstar Braylon Presley to join the team. More on him in a moment. When the Golden Hurricane hit the field for spring practice, Wilson's intensity was felt immediately. Wilson knows the odds are stacked against him and TU this year. The Golden Hurricane were picked to finish 11th in the conference. But for Wilson and his team, that's all outside noise that needs to be silenced.
We got to practice hard enough that we toughen, we callous our bodies, our minds, our souls, we callous, so that we can be a tougher team.
Chris Polizzi comes in to run the defense. Steve Spurrier Jr. heads up the offense, and heads up is exactly what opposing defenses will have to be with the two Braylons in the backfield, Braxton and Presley.
We got a great relationship. We did a lot. We worked together a lot over the summer. We were working some youth camps together, and me and him, we actually stay in the same apartment complex, so I see him every day when I walk into my apartment. So I say me and Prez got a very good relationship, and we're very comfortable with each other.
I feel like it's going to be a great connection. These past 8 months have been nothing but great. Braylon, he's one of the best athletes I've ever been around. To be someone like that who can throw the ball that good but also move, and he just reminds me of kind of like Cam Newton. That's how good he is.
But everything comes back to Wilson. 6 years at Ohio State led him to TU. He had a 6-year stint as head coach at Indiana and spent 9 years on staff at Oklahoma. At times intense, analytical, and demanding, Wilson also possesses an attention to detail that's virtually unmatched.
One of our offensive linemen, he was in his stance, and he didn't have his thumb in the ground, and he blew the whistle and said, "Why don't you have your thumb on the ground?" So from this to this, so he's watching everything.
Nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm, and I've said a long time, coaching is a lot of things, but it beats working for a living.
The new era for TU football starts August 31st at home against Arkansas Pine Bluff. At Chapman Stadium for Oklahoma's own, I'm Jonathan Husky.
Guys, TU's non-conference is really tough. After you open with UAPB, you got to go to top 10 team in Washington and Seattle, and OU comes to Tulsa for game 3, and then you've got a quick turnaround I'll talk about in a second. But how many times will Braylon Presley touch the ball? I think they want to get it in his hands as often as possible and still keep him healthy. He's put on some weight, but he's still kind of small. Attention to detail with Kevin Wilson, +2. You may hear that phrase about finishing everything 2 yards beyond the end there. And player accountability, player-led team. He's talked about that a lot. That should help. The turnaround I'm talking about, tough Saturday at Northern Illinois, followed by a Thursday home game against Temple to open conference play. That turnaround in late September, if they can get through that and win those 2 games, it'll set them up.
Hey, Braylon will play a lot because Kevin knows what he's doing and he's not real stubborn. I know Kevin Wilson well, or at least I did know him. The track record speaks for itself. Also, I know and like Steve Spurrier Jr., the offensive coordinator. They are winners, and if any coaches can turn it around, I'd put the money on those guys. And with the carrot of potential realignment out there, there's no better time to win at TU than right now.
No question. I'm fired up for Coach Wilson. Get another opportunity to be a head coach. He knows offense, man, and he preaches physicality. The former offensive line coach in him will come out. What I like about Tulsa, they had a quarterback. Braylon Braxton had 15 total touchdowns at the end of last year. That's a great starting point for this start for Kevin Wilson there at TU.
I'll be joining the football party after the break. We're playing the percentages on First and Football. We'll see which guy has the top pulse on the upcoming season. Dean, John, and Dusty play the percentages